What's up, Wargamers? Welcome back to World of Wargaming. I'm Isaiah. Today, instead of playing some games, I invite you to get a snack and find a comfy place to sit down and let me talk at you for a minute. And what I want to talk at you for a minute about is this game right here, County Road Z. County Road Z is a solo zombie survival game from Earthbound Games, written by Jordan Heckman. Now, full transparency, Jordan and I are both in the Rangers of Shadow Deep Facebook group. He did send me a copy of the rules to check out the game, and I'm really glad that he did. But we're gonna get into why I'm really glad that he did. But I just want to be clear and upfront with anyone who happens to actually watch this about the fact that I was sent a copy of these rules. I didn't find this, I didn't buy this. He brought it to me. He hit me up and he's like, "Hey man, I wrote this game. You want to check it out?" And me being the person that I am, I mean, obviously I want to check it out. Obviously I want to see the game that you've made. Because I'm the type of person that when I meet a new Wargamer friend and they're like, "Hey man, what game or games do you play?" My answer is just, yes, I play the games. County Road Z is a solo zombie survival game. And off the gate, one of the things that I like most about it is this line right down here at the bottom. Let me get this shiny piece out of the way. Right down here, it says, "A game of rural survival in the zombie apocalypse." Now, being somebody who grew up in the country, I love that. I love that so much because it's relatable. I have lots of zombie contingency plans, but they're all built around areas and places that I know, and those places are not urban environments. Also, I like that, generally speaking, if you're like me and you like a very heavily terrained table, it is easier to do that in the country than it is to do it in the city. Because the country requires, a few buildings and some trees and some other landscape features, man. Like, you can get away with that. But in the city, you need buildings and stores and roads. And, any old grass mat will work for playing out in the country. And then, some railroad trees and other things like that. So I feel off the gate, it's a solid jump at being able to make a nice table for yourself to play on at a lower cost of entry. And this is providing, of course, that you don't already have a whole bunch of stuff. If you already have a whole bunch of stuff, then it is what it is. You play whatever you want. That's the beauty of the mini-agnostic game. So when I was first reading through this book, it lays out like you would expect a rulebook to. These are the things you need. It does use a D10 and a 30 by 30 play area. So 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet, which, from what I understand, is a fairly obtainable mat size. I am a firm believer in buying a 6x4 and then just sectioning off the part that I need for whatever I'm doing, and then I still have a full table mat. But that's just my shtick. If you don't play games where you need a 6x4 mat, then you might have a whole big, just like hangers and hangers and hangers of these smaller 2x2 and 3x3 and 2.5 by 2.5 by mats. But anyways, it plays on a 30 by 30 is where I was trying to get. That's the point I was trying to get to. 30 by 30. Tokens and stuff. Now, obviously, you can use any old chit or token that you would please, paper, cutouts, whatever. But you need something to represent strangers that you find, obviously, your team of survivors that you'll build, and lots of zombies. Here, I'm not going to go super deep into all of the rules of the game. I don't really want to do that. I just want to kind of give you a good feel for the game, so that if it sounds like something that might be interested for you to game and check out, you can do that and do it from an educated, or mostly educated, because I might get some things wrong when I actually go to play the game, which will be in a link in one of those corners. As I read through these rules, the thing that struck me as very unique, very stand-outish, something that I don't know that I've seen anything like this in a tabletop war game type scenario. But the game plays almost like the closest thing I can relate it to is like a Total War almost kind of situation. Like an actual turn has numerous phases. It has the part you actually play on the table, and then it has a base management phase, and then it has character advancement. It's like you actually get to see your survivors and your community flourish and build up and get strong and survive, or you get to see them die bloody. And in my eyes, both of those are acceptable options. The game that you actually play on the tabletop is referred to as the tactical layer. In the tactical layer, that's when your team of survivors is leaving the base. You are going out into the area to search for resources, or to try to find other survivors, or to trade with other communities that have been set up. But that's the part where you're actually on the table rolling dice. And the majority of the dice rolling in the game is going to be very, very, very easy to pick up for anyone with any history in, I would say, war games, or probably even TTRPGs. It's a very roll your D10, add your modifiers, did you hit your target number? Target numbers for zombies are usually either 4 if they're passive or 6 if they're aggressive, which that stuff you'll see more of when I get into the battle report, which will most likely be about a week after this video comes out. A fairly decent selection of missions in here to do, and some of them are story-driven missions. For example, your community has grown too big and you need to go out and find a new base, and there's a mission for that. And some of them are just kind of your basic go out, explore, see what you can find type missions. And the author, Jordan Heckman, there's a public Facebook group for the game, and he is super active and involved in this in his game, and I love to see that. I love to see, an author getting back to people, like questions get shot off, and he's working on his first kind of like supplement content for it. It's called Road Trip, I believe. So if you have interest in the game, again, go check out that Facebook group. It's public, open to join. That's County Road Z official group Facebook stuff. I'm not as fluent as Facebook as I am with other forms of social media. I use Facebook mainly for memes and dog content. So through your turn phase, you have your survivors who get to activate and do 2 things. You have the zombie AI, which is split into 3 different kinds of zombie AI. There's passive, aggressive, and horde. And the horde is what I want to talk at you for a second about, because when the horde, when they horde, because they'll naturally try to horde up if they can't get to a survivor to attack, and when they do, it is so cinematic. Like, I don't know how many times he had to play test this and tinker around with this to get that feeling, but the first time I saw it happen, I was like, this feels like a zombie movie. And it's awesome because it's set in my hometown. Another cool feature of the game during the tactical layer is the way actions and zombies interact with each other. Everything you do pretty much has a noise rating, and whenever you do it, if there's any zombies in range of you making noise, they come at you, which is, again, very, very cinematic and thematic. And there is a stealth skill in the game, so it gives stealth it's actually really, really pretty good. I've played several games where there are stealth stuff, and I like playing sneakies. I mean, I try my very best to not edgelord stuff up. But I like sneaking around, and it's cool when it's an opportunity where like it really feels like you're doing something when you're sneaking around. Walls, you can bust them down, bust through them. Zombies will try to bust through them over time. The AI for the game is, as I was saying, even about the hordes, is very elegant. I really, that's something I'll go more into in the actual battle reports, but just leave it to say that I do enjoy the AI. I love a good AI because with solo games, if you give me an opportunity to give myself an advantage, I will take it. And I like it when a lot of that burden is removed from my power. That agency is taken away, and this is what you do. And it's smooth, it's easy to follow, it's a well-written AI. So that tactical layer, that is one part of the greater campaign turn, which is the strategic layer. And that campaign turn ticker, that's another thing that makes Total War come to mind, because Total War, counts your turns in your campaign as you go. And I don't know if Jordan, I don't know if he's a Total War player, but it's got that kind of vibe on a tabletop. And I'm gonna say that probably a lot more before this is all done, because I really like it. It's really stinking freaking cool. So the tactical layer is part of the first phase of the strategic layer. The strategic layer is the overarching thing. So you have your mission phase where you pick your mission, pick who's going to go on the mission, play the mission. After that, you have your advancement phase, which is where you get your XP, spend your XP. If you find somebody out in the wilderness, the zombie wilderness, you get to give them some skills and figure out what they can contribute to your community. You also, during there, you're doing resource management. So you have food, fuel, ammo maybe? Fuel, food, and hardware are the resources that you can find out there. And like if you want to add a watchtower to your base, then that costs so many hardware, so many this, and then if it's something that has to, like, you have to have a way to generate electricity, and then, to do this requires this much electricity or this much running water, and it's just, my brain pops at the thought of it, and I'm really excited to get deeper into that aspect. I'm barely just kind of scratching the surface at this point still, but I'm really excited for it. You're also, during that point, going to heal up some wounds if anybody was resting or getting treatment, and you're also going to add your facilities and upgrades. So if it takes things a turn to be built, so if you were going to build, let's say, that same watchtower, you spend the resources immediately, and then it will show up at the next turn's advancement phase. And then you move to your planning phase. This is when you're going to assign people to work at different parts of the thing, because when the facilities and the base are staffed, they run better. Assign your project teams for doing special things. Assign anybody who's going to go in for rest into the medical bay or wherever. And then pick your team that'll go out on your next mission. And finally, in the campaign turn, we have the management phase, which is where anybody who was reduced to 0 health, you're going to check to see if they turn into a zombie. You're going to make sure people get fed, make sure people get rested, figure out if you have unrest in your community, which will be a combination of if people are hungry, if people are thirsty, if people don't have a place to sleep and rest their bodies. Check your storage, make sure nothing is going bad, make sure you don't have too much. 'Cause if you have an excess, like more than you have room to store, it spoils and goes bad. You got to check the horde, because as your community gets bigger and you're making more noise while you do stuff, you tend to draw zombies towards you. And that gives you a number called your siege threat. And eventually, when your siege, there's enough zombies lurking around your base, they will besiege you. And there's a mission where you have to go and save your base from the zombie siege. And again, that just makes all the imagination parts of my brain that love good narrative cinematic stuff on tabletops with immersive boards, it just makes all those neurons tingle. All of them. Characters in the game are split up into 4 categories. We're gonna talk about character creation for a second. So character strength is divided into tiers. 1, 2, 3, 4 stars, and the number of tiers they have determines their starting stats, their starting skills, how much they can carry, all that stuff. And generally, you start a new community with 10 tier levels. And Jordan, the book recommends that you do that with a hero and 2 leaders, because a hero is 4 stars, and then your leaders are 3 stars. So you start with 2 or 3 fairly strong characters as opposed to a lot of very weak characters, because your tier also determines the number of health points you have. That you choose on the way you choose them, whether you have them at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, wherever, also affects the skills that they're going to be able to lean into and get good use out of, because each skill is governed by one of the four stats. 4 stats: strength, dexterity, intelligence, cooperation. Yes, 4 stats. Another thing that I would like to show you that makes me very, very happy is this page right here. Look at all those charts. Look at all these things. These are the charts for how to make and build different kinds of equipment and weapons, and how much labor it takes, what the requisites for being able to make it, like whether you need a workshop, a metal shop, a workshop with electricity, or a metal shop with electricity, or a gunsmith, or whatever. It's so in depth in the good way. Like, this is just straight up imagination fuel, and I am here for it. When you're adding on to your facilities, there's all kinds of stuff you can add: bunk rooms, gardens, kitchens, storage areas, training rooms, medical clinics, workshops, utility stations so that you can have power and water. And then you've got different tiers of bases. You've got your tier 1 bases, your tier 2 bases, and I think it goes up to tier 3 bases. I know that I read in here somewhere that you can live in a hydroelectric dam. I think I saw that. Maybe that was a mission. I know that I saw something about a hydroelectric dam, and I was like, oh, that's PD River. That's Blewitts Falls. All right. Hydroelectric dam. It's a tier 3, so it does go up to 3. 3 is where it caps out. There's a regional firehouse that you can take for a base. A Renaissance festival. Yeah, I've already got all the terrain for a Renaissance festival base, because I can just use all my fantasy terrain. Outdoor sports shop, so you can take over the Bass Pro or the Cabela's or the Dick's, whichever happens to be close to you. And hopefully whichever one has ammunition. A distillery? What? I mean, enough said, right? A hobby farm, the Greasy Spoon, summer camps, just all kinds of different options for starting that base and doing. It's a lot of variety, and it's a lot of choice, and again, just tackling fuel for your imagination. As you get closer to the rear, you get into the various missions, some story-based, some just kind of go out and kill zombie-based. And then you've got some optional rules for different kinds of, like, weather effects, different kinds of special zombies, dangerous terrain rules, the unseen, just all kinds of extra things that you can add in to spice it up and to up your challenge level. So it gives you the opportunity to kind of scale the difficulty game to both your party's level as well as your experience level. To your level, I'd also like to mention that in the mission section, it gives you the first mission to play. It tells you what to set up, how to play the first mission, and that first mission is well written for someone who is brand new to the player. It's written very, very well for someone who has read the book and is ready to take the step onto the table. It's very, very kind. Like, obviously it's a war game. If RN Jesus is not on your side, then you're probably going to get swamped. But at the same time, it provides you plenty of opportunities to learn how the game works without outright just TPKing you. Yeah. Also, how could I forget this? Vehicles. You can find like old cars and fix them. Just, that's cool. That's really, really cool. They can cruise around. They let you gives you like extra carrying space for inventory for stuff that you find. It would, I assume, allow you to take larger groups out. Maybe, there's so much here, y'all. There's so much here in this book. This book is so robust, and I'm really excited to dig deeper into it. That's me. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree with me, but Well, I don't know. You don't have to agree with me, but I would want you to. You sat through this whole video and you've listened to me just kind of ramble on about this game that before today you might not have ever heard of, and you yourself are interested in this game. Again, there is an open Facebook group for County Road Z, and it is available on Wargame Vault at a very reasonable price. I think it's like $5. Very reasonably priced. Also, I think he just got it set up to where he can do print on demand, which I love. Print on demand. I think it is an amazing tool for publishers and smaller game devs and authors to get their work out there to people, but also in a land of digital things, there are many situations where I prefer analog, and I just want to have a physical book in my hand. I want to be able to hold it and highlight the pages and put little tabbies on it and flip through it while I play. That's me. So the fact that I can experience these games that I've not really ever heard of. Now, obviously, you can just print a PDF out. That's what I've done here. But a nice bound book is nice. I enjoy that. Personally, I also like to be able to see them on my bookshelf and just kind of run my fingers across them when I walk by. You know what I'm talking about. And that's pretty much all I've got to say at the moment about County Road Z. Again, there will be a battle report, or several, probably if I survive, coming about a week after this hits the table. So also stop by and, check that out too. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I hope the dice gods are ever in your favor. And I'm incredibly grateful that you sat down and let me talk at you for a minute. And as always, I'd like to say a big, huge, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to our patrons who support us and pledge to us over on Patreon. You guys are the absolute best. If you enjoyed the content you saw here today and that's something that you would like to consider doing to help out the channel, go over there, check out the link in the description, check out the Patreon. There's a lot of cool stuff over there, including access to our Discord server, talk to me, hang out with me, talk about our work, what we got going on in the hobby, some shout outs, all kinds of cool stuff. Check it out if that's something that you think you would be into. And regardless of whether or not you do that, I want you to know that I am incredibly grateful that you decided to stop by and spend part of your day with me today, rolling dice and pushing toy soldiers around. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And as always, may the dice be ever in your favor.